Hello everyone, welcome to the Al-Razda channel. So today we're going to tell spoilers for episode 154 in the SwallowedStar series based on the novel story. Remember, this is just a novel version. If there are differences in the story in the series, please understand, guys. Okay, instead of being curious, let's watch the video until it's finished. After Luo Feng fell into the death trap, Luo Feng then entered the illusory monster lair and kept trying to find a way out of the cave lair. But he had yet to find the end of the cave. The bottom surface of this cave was vast, like it was the largest lair in the Devil Mountain area. Long story short, 2 months had passed. During this time, Luo Feng was trying to find the end of this cave, but he hadn't found it, and it seemed that Luo Feng was very bored. Then Luo Feng kept walking, and moments later, he suddenly saw some kind of palace rising in the air. There were about 32 palaces that were quite large. Luo Feng also saw these palaces emitting a white light that made Luo Feng dumbfounded as he got closer to the palaces. Luo Feng was very astonished. Whose palace was this exactly? Moreover, not only Luo Feng, but even the other monsters were also attracted by the white light enveloping those few ice palaces, and they unconsciously flew over or jumped towards those palaces. However, when these monsters hit that part of the white light, they all bounced off and fell down. Even after falling, the monsters flew back and fell again, and so on for several times. With little sense, after failing several times, the monsters finally gave up and left the floating palace. However, on the side of the palace that did not have the white light barrier, they were all able to pass through and enter the palace. There were about 32 floating palaces, and 9 of them did not have white light. Luo Feng, Bear, immediately tried to follow the monsters who managed to enter the ice palace. But before entering the palace with white light, Luo Feng wanted to check and try to pass through the palace that had white light. Luo Feng's bear jumped hard and crashed his body into the white light. But even though the collision was very violent, it couldn't destroy the white light, even making Luo Feng's bear bounce off. Now, for those who don't understand, Luo Feng is currently shapeshifting using the Mosha clan's fashion body that is camouflaged into a bear monster. That's why I refer to it as Luo Feng's bear to make it easier. Okay, let's continue. Well, before Luo Feng's bear bounced off, he saw that there was a kind of golden light inside the white light near the floating palace. He was also very surprised when he felt the solidity of the white light. Even when a world master-level monster crashed into it, the white light didn't budge at all. Instead, the powerful monsters were violently bounced off. Then, unable to break through the white light, Luo Feng Bear prepared to jump again and headed towards the palace without white light. Upon entering the palace, Luo Feng Bear saw that there were several other monsters wandering around like beasts, without intelligence or common beasts. The structure of this palace was very simple, but the temperature inside was quite warm. Perhaps this was because the palace was not made of ice but black stone with mysterious gold carvings. Then, Luo Feng ordered Babata to quickly record the strange carved shapes of this palace. Moments later, suddenly the entire pattern inside the palace gave off gold and white light. And all of this light gathered together, forming a kind of white light barrier like the rest of the palace. Seeing this, Luo Feng was very surprised, as this palace he entered was also covered in white and gold light. Then, Luo Feng looked outside. There were many other monsters that were attracted by the white light in the palace Luo Feng entered. But just like before, they were all bounced away and couldn't penetrate the white light. Next, Luo Feng from the inside tried to touch the white light, but strangely, he was able to penetrate the light barrier and was not blocked by the barrier. It could be concluded that this palace was impenetrable from the outside, but from the inside, this light did not react at all. Then Luo Feng turned around and saw a main room of the palace. He saw a domain master level monster heading towards the main room. However, just as the monster entered the door of the main room, suddenly, a giant gorilla slammed into the monster that wanted to enter, causing it to bounce back, and Luo Feng was shocked to see that. And he felt that this gorilla's physique was not formed of flesh, but its physique was entirely made of stone. However, Luo Feng felt strange. Whereas the monsters he had previously encountered, He had never seen a gaze that had such intelligence. However, Luo Feng felt that this stone gorilla monster had intelligence that was quite human-like. According to Luo Feng, there are indeed many life forms in this universe, ranging from physical life forms of flesh, energy, robots, and various others. However, he had never seen the ice or rock life form that he now encountered inside this devil mountain. For several days, Luo Feng observed the stone gorilla. There were several other monsters that wanted to enter the main chamber, but they were all beaten by the stone gorilla. As such, Luo Feng felt that there must be a big secret in the main chamber. However, Luo Feng didn't know how he could enter it. If he tried to break through like the monsters before him, then he would be beaten up by the stone gorilla as well. Then, a moment later, suddenly a rumbling sound was heard around the palace location, and there seemed to be a loud bang heard. This was like someone coming down from the abyss hole like Luo Feng before. Then a shouting voice was heard saying that these monsters wouldn't be able to hurt them. The shout also said that the floating palace was a palace that had inherited treasures. It was explained that there were several types in the palace. Namely, if it already had a white light as a barrier, it meant that someone had already entered the palace. However, according to the information that these two warriors got from the Great Union, there were about 9 inheritance palaces available. But now there were only 8, which meant that the 2 of them had already been preceded by someone. But that didn't matter. The important thing was that they could enter the inheritance palace from one of the 8. As it turned out, the rumbling sound was the sound of 2 warriors descending and slaughtering the monsters that were near them. However, according to Luo Feng's estimation, it seemed like these 2 people were powerful, immortal-level warriors. However, Luo Feng was confused because they both mentioned the Great Union. "What exactly is that organization?" asked Luo Feng, who was muttering. Luo Feng was also astonished. These 2 warriors mentioned an inheritance palace. Don't tell me the inheritance palace that Luo Feng was in was a palace that had inheritance in it. Seeing that, Luo Feng seemed excited this time. But the question was, did it mean that this floating palace could distinguish between real and fake illusion monsters? Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible for white light to instantly envelop the palace when Luo Feng entered it. Then Luo Feng tried to find a way to get inside that main room. Then Luo Feng took out his main body, while his Mosha mode remained in the form of a bear. However, upon seeing Luo Feng's human body, several monsters roared loudly and prepared to attack him. Suddenly, Luo Feng immediately darted at high speed towards the main room of this palace. Seeing that, there was a huge monster with Domain Master level strength chasing after him and was followed by several other monster tails. When Luo Feng was almost at the door of the main room, the powerful stone gorilla strangely didn't attack him, but instead beat up the monsters chasing Luo Feng. With a single slash using the big stick, it made those Domain Master level monsters bounce back and were followed by other monsters. After being in this main room, Luo Feng saw that this room was huge, and a large amount of it was covered in black smoke, making even Babata's scanning device unable to function properly. Though according to Babata's words, this scanning device was a device used by Master Huyan Bo before, when he was in a secret realm, but now it was not working at all. Then a while later, Luo Feng and Babata suddenly heard a sizable sound being made, and this sound was extremely strange. After Luo Feng recalled, this sound was the sound he had previously heard when he was outside the palace, and the entire palace with the white light barrier was emitting the sound. Next, the entire palace shook violently, and shortly after that, a stone flew over with a sentence written on it. Although Luo Feng had never seen this phrase before, strangely enough, he understood what it meant very well. Luo Feng was very surprised by this. The sentence on the floating black stone would sometimes appear and sometimes disappear, until finally, Luo Feng understood the entire content of the sentence. Above the sentence was the word Demon Record General, the 157,672 inheritance. When Luo Feng saw this word, he was shocked. Was this really the legacy the virtual universe company was looking for? After that, Luo Feng, who saw the content of the sentence, wrote that since the birth of this forbidden land, Luo Feng was the 157,672 person to receive the inheritance, and any life form can receive it as long as they have a soul. According to the information Luo Feng understood from the sentence, it said that since the discovery of this forbidden land, no one had ever received a full inheritance, that is, with the title of Demon Record General. Usually, it was beasts, humans, as well as others. They would only receive the title of Demon Record at an ordinary level, and since the birth of this universe, it was said that there was only one person who could fully receive the inheritance of a Demon Record General. During the time Luo Feng was looking at the contents of the sentence, drastic changes occurred within the palace. Black stones flew out and formed a kind of mysterious black staircase. Luo Feng stared at the stairs with a feeling of awe. It was true. In this vast universe, the human race had 1,008 empires, and each empire was led by a powerful warrior of the universe venerable level. And according to Luo Feng's estimation, there are stronger warriors who can create virtual universes well. It was estimated that these warriors might be universe venerable level, or even true god-level warriors. But even so, the human race was one of the many races in the universe and was one of the top races. And within these 1,008 empires must be unexplored places and inheritances like the Devil Mountain Luo Feng was placed in now. Luo Feng was pensive when he saw the various sentences on each staircase, and he was also thinking who exactly this great warrior was who left this legacy of demon notes here. It was thought that perhaps this warrior was extremely powerful, and even comparable to a country emperor or universe venerable level. Previously, from what Luo Feng had heard from the two immortal warriors, the virtual universe company had deliberately allowed their immortal warriors to receive this inheritance. That meant the information about the inheritance was only known to the higher-ups of the virtual universe company and was top secret only. Just imagine that even the local Devil Mountain warriors didn't know about this place. Luo Feng then climbed up a flight of stairs, and at the same time, his head immediately became dizzy as a lot of information about the demon records entered his head. Then, a voice echoed in Luo Feng's head saying, "Study this legacy, and every step will bring new information about the contents of the legacy. When he reached the end of the ladder, he would be able to become an absolute warrior." As the voice echoed in Luo Feng's head, Luo Feng was subdued by some sort of soul technique. This was the reason why this demonic note inheritance required someone with a soul to inherit its inheritance. With such a powerful soul technique, it made Luo Feng estimate that this soul inheritance technique was comparable to the 9-universe monument he got back in Primal Chaos City, perhaps even stronger. This made Luo Feng very excited, as this would be a golden opportunity for him. Because previously, Luo Feng had already possessed many other techniques, such as the Golden Horn technique, Mosha's Clone Mode, Monument 9 Universe, and various other great techniques. Therefore, Luo Feng could judge a technique well, and he estimated that this soul inheritance technique was extremely powerful, even much more powerful than the soul technique Hu Yanbo had passed down to him. Then, in an instant, Luo Feng directly sat cross-legged on the first step and directly entered his training to comprehend this demon note inheritance. Even his Golden Horn mode learned it as well. Only Luo Feng's Mosha mode wasn't affected in any way, because the clone didn't have a soul, so Luo Feng's Mosha mode couldn't learn the inheritance. On the other hand, there was an old warrior raging in his residence. He was furious when he heard that the inheritance his disciple had gotten had been taken by someone unknown. Of course, we know who that person is. The old warrior was someone with a universe venerable level comparable to a country's emperor. But apparently he was working with an organization to try to get the Devil Mountain inheritance for his disciple. However, when the palace was taken by an unknown person, the Great Union organization would not want to take any responsibility, thus making the old warrior furious. While shouting, "Who exactly took my disciple's inheritance?" According to his information, the inheritance of the demon records was a heritage that was millions of times more valuable than the inheritance in the primal universe, precisely in the Primal Chaos City. This demon record inheritance is extremely detailed to understand. When there is someone who can understand it to the highest level, it will become an absolute warrior in the future. It is said that to inherit the inheritance at the next wave takes about 30,000 eras, and that is very long for a warrior in the universe. Therefore, the universe venerable level warrior, commonly called the Fog Knight, was furious that the opportunity for his disciple had been taken away by someone. The Fog Knight's disciple was an immortal level warrior and was one step away from reaching the same universe venerable level as himself. However, breaking through to that level was extremely difficult. Therefore, the Fog Knight needed the demon record inheritance to help his disciple. However, on Luo Feng's side, he currently didn't care. And when there was an absolute warrior running amok, because he took the absolute warrior disciple's chance because he didn't know it. Luo Feng was still in his training in the first ladder to understand the basics of the demon record inheritance. According to the information Luo Feng received after a day of trying to understand, there were 2 stages to training the demon record inheritance. The first was to train the basics, and the second was to learn the demonic note inheritance technique. If one managed to solidify the foundation of his cultivation foundation, then in the future it would be very easy to understand these demon record techniques. With those basics, one could also exceed their maximum limit. For example, 100 strength is the normal limit. However, with the solid foundation of the demon record technique, it would be able to reach 150 or even 200 power strength. That said, this demonic note inheritance was aimed at breaking a warrior's extreme limits. Knowing that, Luo Feng was extremely excited, because this was an extremely precious technique inheritance that could possibly save the threat of the insect race's mother nest on Earth. Then time passed, and Luo Feng began to climb the second flight of stairs. On this second staircase, various information about techniques began to appear in his mind. As explained earlier, the inheritance of this demon record had never been fully comprehended by anyone, and it had been 157,675 warriors who had inherited it. That said, the one who usually inherited these demon records was an immortal level warrior or above. Hence, even though Luo Feng was a universe level warrior, it was extremely fortunate that he also had the opportunity to be able to comprehend the entirety of it. To make a long story short, 6 months later, while Luo Feng was training, on the other side of the 1,000-star sect, Po Yu was very upset with her subordinates, who failed to eliminate Luo Feng. And she also found out that 2 of her 6 subordinates had died. So Po Yu gave his 4 subordinates another half a year to finish off Luo Feng. Hearing that, her 4 subordinates nodded fearfully. Then, time passed quickly, and a year had already passed. One of Po Yu's 4 subordinates died under the illusory pressure of the forces of nature in Devil Mountain, causing them to go mad or become a zombie. Then, because they had managed to survive for 1 year in Devil Mountain, these 3 subordinates of Po Yu were appointed by one of the supervisors of Devil Mountain from the Virtual Universe Company. They were appointed as members of the Virtual Universe Company. However, on Po Yu's side, she was very upset with the results given by his subordinates because they could not finish Luo Feng at all. On the side of the 3 warriors from Devil Mountain, they were actually confused whether this was good news or bad news. On the one hand, they were accepted by the Virtual Universe Company, but on the other hand, Po Yu was very angry with them. Later, the 3 of them were brought to Po Yu's residence. Po Yu looked them flatly in the eye and immediately took back the equipment she had previously given them. At the side of the 3 local warriors, they continued to bow in respect out of fear. They were furious with themselves for not being able to finish off someone who was only at the universe level. Then the strongest of them spoke up to Po Yu, saying that it was possible that this Luo Feng had been finished off by an illusory monster. And also, it was possible that he had gone mad because of the pressure from the illusory power in that place. Po Yu simply listened to what the local warrior said and nodded. However, when the 3 subordinates finished speaking, all 3 were immediately executed by Po Yu. The reason Po Yu killed the 3 of them was because the 3 of them knew too much about Po Yu's information that was targeting Luo Feng. Therefore, because they did not want anyone else to find out, they were immediately executed. According to the information, Po Yu was a core member of the Virtual Universe Company and an immortal, Marquis-level warrior. When the Virtual Universe Company found out that he was targeting one of their geniuses, then even though Po Yu was not eliminated, she would be locked up in one of the secret realms called Space Hell. But now, Po Yu was smiling, and she was 90% sure that Luo Feng must have died on Devil Mountain. And that's the spoiler for episode 154 of the SwallowedStar series. Okay, thank you very much for watching until the end. The last word from me, bye.